Hello, microeconomics students. I hope you guys are having a great week. This is the first real week of microeconomics, and we are going to learn basically what we're studying about, what we are trying to talk about when we talk about this class. A couple things first. I hope that you guys have got your textbooks. I will say that you can get online access for $30 through the publisher. I think that's probably the best deal, but if you want the book, still, it's only $75, which is really cheap for an economics book. You will need the book to pass this course, so please make sure that you get that today. I hope that everything is okay with you guys. We want to talk to you today about essentially what is economics, what is microeconomics, and a couple of the basic principles that guide us through economic thought. So without further ado, let's get started. So what is economics? What is economics? So essentially, economics is literally a part of everything we do, say, think, feel. We are always thinking economically. We are always thinking what is best and what decisions we can make to make use with what resources we have. The most basic definition I can give you is the study of endless wants and needs in a world of scarce resources. We all need and want things, but supplies are limited, right? And so this is the kind of thing that we'll be discussing throughout the year. Now, I'm going to try to make this class as far away from math as possible because I think this is a principles microeconomic course. Therefore, I don't think we really need to worry about the math. There will be some graphs. Unfortunately, we will be working with some graphs, and we'll get to those later on through the chapters. But right now, I want you to know that I'm really more focused on the principles rather than the math of it all. I'm sure you will get that if you choose to go further. I want to focus on two key relationships in economics. The first one, of course, is supply and demand. Our book, for some reason, calls it demand and supply. It doesn't matter to me how you say it. But, of course, just simple definitions right here. Supply is the stock of resources. This could be anything from wood to paper to food, to canned food to water, to, beautiful Texas landscape. I don't know if you realize, but I'm in Texas and it's gorgeous. Of course, the demand for Texas landscape is always growing. People from California are always trying to come here. People from New York are always trying to come to Texas. And the same thing is also happening in Utah, right? We are seeing the demand for Utah land, the supply of it shrinking because the demand is ever increasing. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, some very basic things to keep in mind. The second key relationship in economics is, of course, scarcity and value. I'm going to try to move this. Can I move this? Yeah, let's move this over here. Check this out. Scarcity, it just means that things aren't infinite. There is a finite value for almost everything. And of course, value is the material, sometimes monetary worth of something. But we're going to find that even money has certain value, and that value can go up or down, which we'll learn about in the coming weeks. We call that inflation or deflation, but we'll get more into that in a few weeks. Keep in mind, this is very basic. We are starting off very, very, very basic, okay? So again, I'm going to try to stay away from math. There will be just a little bit of math, but not too much. Again, I want to focus more on principles, and I want to focus more on ideas and relationships rather than how it all works out mathematically. Now, while economics is based on this model, right, that supply and demand can go on for literally ever, there are problems within this model, and those are some of the things that I want us to explore too. Like, we have this idea that if we just push price up high enough, we can have as much of whatever we want. America is very into this idea that we should be able to get exactly what we want, whenever we want, as long as we have enough money for it. Well, the problem is the world doesn't operate that way. And economics has a problem with this because we have yet to kind of figure out what happens when we run out of something. We're seeing this happen right now in the world today with some of our prices inflating, some Gas, for instance, has gone up 70% in the last 6 months. That's an insane amount of percentage. Things like wood has gone up 400% in the last few years. And all of these create this problem, right? This problem of scarcity in terms of like housing. Housing prices are insane right now. So these are the things. We're waiting for bubbles to pop, and we will see the ups and downs of economy go as we go on. But again, still basic. We're still talking about the very beginnings, but we'll definitely get there in the weeks. Right here is exactly what I mean. Okay, do you see these arrows right here? This is your common supply and demand graph. You've probably seen this before. Don't worry. We got a whole chapter discussing exactly what this means. I believe it's week 3, but I just want to show you. This is what you'll see in that chapter, and you're going to see right here. This arrow literally goes on forever, meaning that quantity can go on forever. The price could go up for whatever. This is the biggest problem with economics that I see today. This is what's going on. These are the things that we need to discuss as a class, right? How does economics deal with these issues of scarcity when the models that we create seem to go on forever? We do not actually take in this idea that eventually we will one day run out of things. I mean, look, we've been told to go to our malls and go shopping and that we can have anything that we want, especially like in terms of clothing and fast fashion. But not only that, like when we go into our grocery stores and we see the endless colors of food and meats to like are way out of stock. Like, okay, we're in Utah, right? How much fish do we have? There's fish in every supermarket that we see. There's not an ocean within 12 hours. So we have to ask ourselves, where does this fish come from? How do we deal with this? And so that's part of it. But there's a car. Hold on one second. The fact that we pay almost nothing for fish that is 12 hours away, and the fact that, like, if you look at things like women's clothes, like, when we go to the mall and stuff, shoes are so cheap, things like that. Those are things that we need to talk about, because all these prices come at a cost. The low price comes at a cost. For instance, if we look at the Nike and the fast fashion industry, we will see that these kids are working for bowls of rice. We will see that they're getting paid pennies on the dollar, and that's how we're able to get shoes so cheap. And we take these kids for granted. But the question is, should we stop them from working? If we stop them from working, would they be able to eat? So we're left with a moral decision, right? These are the issues that economics brings up. Yes, we want our cheap clothes. We don't want children to work for them. But if we stop the children working for them, then what do they have to eat? Can you give them a job? I don't know. And these are the moral, ethical dilemmas that economics brings up, especially microeconomics. In this chapter, you're going to learn about scarcity. You're going to learn about value. You're going to learn about supply, demand, the definitions of micro and macroeconomics. Keep in mind, we're only learning microeconomics this semester. Hopefully, we'll learn macro next semester. But we have to learn a little bit about scarcity. And scarcity is not something we don't know about. We actually saw this last year, right? When everybody was looking for toilet paper. Everybody and their mother was looking for toilet paper. And it really taught Americans about something. This happens. These empty shelves happens in a lot of other countries, but not here, right? It was one of the first few very times in my life where I've ever seen an empty shelf. And it's not just toilet paper. We also saw it for canned foods and vegetables. We saw that we were running out of canned goods in almost every shelf. Now, the supply lines were extremely strained, under pressure by consumers. And when demand picks up, sometimes supply cannot keep up. And thus, price needs to come in and ration it. But it didn't. And that's why we saw empty shelves. And so, the last thing I want to talk to you about is this idea that economics is the dark arts, okay? Look, we're going to learn a lot about what economics is and isn't throughout this semester. But one of the things I think we should really discuss is that economists don't know everything. Yes, I have 2 degrees in economics. I have my bachelor's and my master's. I have my Ph.D. in political science. I study economics all the time. And yes, I've been right about some things. I've been wrong about other things. I think one of the things that we have to realize is that we question everything, okay? Even your textbook. You should absolutely question your textbook. You should question me, and you should question any economist you read. Throughout this semester, I'm going to be showing you guys articles about economists and some of the very subjects that we're talking about. And we're going to see how they conflate each other. One economist is going to say this, and the other economist is going to say that. But economists have a way of obfuscating, hiding the truth. One of the things that we're going to talk about is inflation, and how some people say inflation doesn't exist, and yet here we are, amongst one of the strongest inflationary periods in American history. Well, what happened 6 months ago when economists said inflation doesn't exist? I don't know. Just some things to think about. But I want you to read the chapter. There will be an assignment due at the end of the week. Please go to Canvas for those kind of instructions. Please know that you can always contact me. I'm always available through Zoom. If you want a face-to-face meeting, we can meet through Zoom. If you want to call me, my cell phone number is on the syllabus. So please do not hesitate to text me, call me, FaceTime me, set an appointment for a Zoom. I'm always here for you guys. This is week 2 of 11, and I hope that this video finds you doing well. Make sure you read the chapter, and you should know all the answers to the questions that I've asked you at the end of this chapter are inside the book, okay? So please, please, please make sure that you get that book, you read that book, and know that I'm here for any other questions that you may have. I hope you guys have the greatest week, and I will see you next week. Nice to be here with you guys. See you guys later.